Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. Pictures later? Hmm. Never mind. Good evening, sir. Someone's on here. Brother Rashad. Hmm. That's good too. Mm-mm-mm. The late George Duke. No rhyme, no reason. Right here on Bedtime Stories with your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. Hello to Richard Bornier. Thank you for being on my live. Even though it's kind of late tonight, I was a whole 5 minutes late. So sue me, right? It's your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. I'm gonna wait for a few more people to come in so I can tell you guys what I had for lunch. It'll trip you out. It'll really trip you out. Trust me. Shout out to Robert Money of the Love Movement and everybody over at the Alhambra Palace. We'll be there until like 1 o'clock in the morning. Not me this time. Happy birthday to W.L. Lillard, who is 86 years old. Is that 85 or 86? Well, whatever it is, I'm like, and he still gets around. He still drives and everything. Like that's so old, right? Hello to Deborah Stanley Riddle. What happened to just Deborah Riddle? You got to be Deborah Stanley Riddle. Okay, well, I ain't mad at you. I know, don't judge you. Okay. You're the intruders. And I just want to know your name. Your first name will be fine because if all things work out, your last name will be mine. It's your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You like my glasses? Thank you. You know, it's funny because a long time ago I had this same style. This was back in the 80s. I had this same style of glasses. When I saw them, I was like, there go my old glasses. They were only $75 because I got insurance and all that stuff. I'm like, get my old glasses back. So, but thank you. I guess y'all didn't like the other ones, huh? The round ones. And of course, excuse me while I'm eating. Of course, the other ones, I still have them. They're a little dirty, a little smudgy, but I'm gonna switch up. I'm gonna wear both pairs. But for those of you who wear glasses, no comment on the round. So that's a no on the round ones. Okay. So, every time you get new glasses, you have to get adjusted to them. It's never automatic like the old ones. You just put them on and like, okay, I'm gone. It's always that, your eyes got to get in focus type thing. I'm like, that sucks. But thank goodness I have the other ones as a backup. So, yeah. So what's going on, Deborah Stanley Riddle? Thank you for the compliment on the glasses. I appreciate it. I also appreciate all you all's prayers for my granddaughter. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I talked to her today. She sang to me and I sang right back to her. So, yeah. So, yeah. I'm gonna have we'll have company tonight. I haven't had anyone to co-host the show since it's been a while. So, gentleman is coming over. I'm like, you do know I do my show at my house, right? It's not a studio. He said, okay. I'm like, okay. So he's coming in, help me co-host the show. You know, should be pretty interesting because he did radio a few years ago. As a matter of fact, he was the reason that I got the job out in Gary at WLTH. Because he left and went to St. Louis to do radio. So, but everybody wondered where I was. Where did he go? Why is he late? A whole 5 minutes too. And that's not like him to be late. Yep. It's never like me to be late. Never. As long as I've been doing this show, I've never been late. I've overslept, but I was never late. So, yeah. I overslept. I woke up one night. It was about 12:30 in the morning. I'm like, dang, I was just taking a nap. This is some good soup. Considering I haven't had anything really solid to eat all day. So, I'm good. Good evening, Ronnie. So, Ronnie, do you like these glasses better or the other ones that I had? We're taking a poll now. Deborah Riddle says she liked these instead of the other ones. So, oh, Rico did show up. Okay. You like these better, Ronnie? Okay. Well, I guess it's these from now on. I didn't like the round ones. Okay, I get it. Okay. So the round ones will become backup glasses, and then the other ones will be for watching TV. So you all like these better. Okay. All right. I'll keep getting this style then. The more rectangular ones. So, yeah. Shout out to Kenesha Fox for this soup. This soup is the bomb. This soup is absolutely the bomb. Is that what I'm eating? Yes, it's got chicken in it. It's like a chipotle soup or something like that. Whatever it is spicy. You know, I like spicy stuff. So, yep. Mmm. Wanna know? Oh, you'll ask her what it is. Okay. Yeah, she may or may not be on Facebook. You know, I'll be taking a nap. Mm-mm. Rico Michael Jackson is on stage right now at the Alhambra Palace. That's what's up. Mm, that's some good soup. Yep, that is good. Considering what I had for lunch, one chicken wing, five fries, and a burrito later on. That's it. That's all I had. One chicken wing, five French fries, which are from Harold's, and one big ass burrito. That's it. So, yep. I hate that I'm going to miss Enchantment tonight. I mean, the real Enchantment with EJ. That's the real one. Well, Russell Baker, what's going on? Shake and bake. What's going on with you, sir? I had to go do my show, sweetheart. I'm at home now. I was just saying I hate that I had to go because I wanted to see EJ perform with Enchantment. I didn't think Rico was going to show up. Yep, I'm at home already, sweetheart. I had to run and get my show. I only see Casper still there. Did Casper leave? I guess he left. Hold on for a second. Let me talk to the people. Walter and Scotty. Before that, the Intruders in the original version of I Want to Know Your Name. To Dr. Al Greer, this is Bedtime Stories. I had to leave a party tonight, and I hate that I had to leave. But Queen Deborah Greer, she's on right now. And, of course, she can't hear me because there's so much noise going on over there at the Alhambra Palace. But I'm on her live as well as she's on my live. So, hey, can you hear me, Queen? Nope. Robert Money's on stage right now. So, yeah, we'll talk to Robert Money later, all right? Anyway, Walter and Scotty, of course, the original members of, or remaining members, I should say, of the Whispers. This particular group right here. It's Bedtime Stories with your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. I hate that I had to go. I wanted to see EJ. Oh, he got the original Shorty Mac on stage. Good Lord. I ain't mad at Ken Bedford. He wants to be a star so bad, I tell you. John Caldwell, what's going on, sir? Oprah's cameraman. I ain't mad at you, brother. I want to be famous one day too, bro. You know, Ken is famous for knowing people who are famous. He takes pictures with them, and every time he does a set, he has like a little slideshow where he shows pictures of people that he took pictures with. He doesn't necessarily know them. He just takes pictures with them. Can you hear me, Queen? I guess you can. I mean, seriously, it's like, you know, you take pictures with people and then he posts them. He has like a slideshow at all of his gigs. It's like, you can't pick up the phone and call Smokey Robinson right now. It'd be like, who is this? Ken Bedford. Who? Anyway. But anyway. Yeah, he's famous for knowing famous people. You know. Okay, thank you so much, Ken Bedford. That's right. Ken Bedford bought a ticket too. That's what's up. What's up, John Caldwell? Robert Money's hosting his own show. He don't care. You don't need no host. He had a whole bunch of people there. There's a picture of what's up, Vic? He had Damon Williams there. I didn't think Damon was gonna show up. Damon probably didn't even know about it. Casper, me, just one other person. But anyway. Yep, and on a Tuesday, who has a party on a Tuesday? Well, he did, and it was packed. I'm like, you go, boy. I said, who has a party on a Tuesday and packs the house? Nobody but Robert Money. I tell you, I got, I got to give it to him. That that brother packed the house on a Tuesday night. Hey, sweetheart, if I get an award, bring my award home, okay, honey? Let me turn this down just a bit. There we go. She's a little loud there. Robert said we got the real enchantment in the house today. I'm like, oh, okay. The last time he had the Delphonics, I'm like, those are not the Delphonics. I don't know what group that was. It was a group of imposters. That's what they were. Mm-mm. Oh, there's Casper. He's still there. All right. Casper walking around with his mask on. He's like, I ain't taking no chances of getting COVID or nothing. He said, I ain't going out like that. And I never see Casper dress up. I think he's got like one or two suits. One is from like the 70s, and this one that he's got now. You know, I think he went to the Look over in River Oaks and got that jacket, so he could have one jacket to wear. But Queen, if I get an award, bring me my award, okay? William Hart be talking about the Delphonics imposter groups all the time. I know, right? And that's so weird. It's like these imposter groups, and they getting paid. They are getting paid. I'm like, how are they getting somebody else's money? So that means that anybody can go out there and call themselves whatever group. You know, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Drifters. I'm like, uh-uh. Those aren't the Drifters. They're all gone. Okay? I'm just saying. They're all gone. You know, the Platters. What? Ain't no Platters. They're all gone. It might be the grandsons or the granddaughters of the Platters, but none of them are original members. If loving you is wrong, the original Luther, as I call him. Luther Ingram, if loving you is wrong, I just don't want to be right. That's awfully fast. How'd that happen? Oh, well, I'm going to let it play anyway. It's your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer, you know, straight from the Alhambra Palace. Wait a minute, that's too doggone fast. Slow down there, bro. Anyway, it's your peanut butter brother. I was talking about off the air, talking about these groups, right? That's better. These groups out here calling themselves, you know, the Platters or the Delphonics or whatever. I'm like, every group should have at least one original member, like the Temptations. There's one original member and one only member, and that is Otis Williams. You know, oh well, it's going to do its own thing tonight. But anyway, I can't understand that. You know, there's a law against doing that. Rashard said Earl Young talks about the Tramps imposter groups as well as he should, right? There's only one group of tramps. And if it doesn't say Earl Young on it, it ain't the Cramps, okay? Ken Bedford back on stage again, I tell you. Mm-mm-mm. The original Shorty Mac, I tell you. Mm-mm-mm. He hates my guts for some strange reason. Yep. Ken Bedford does not like me. I remember when Herb Kent died. They had a roundtable discussion on Herb Kent, and I was one of those people that was on it. Right? It was me. It was Troy Tyler, Art Chat Daddy Sims, Chris Bass, and of course Ken Bedford. So we were sitting around talking about Herb, right? And I usually save my story for last, right? Because of my association with her, my close association with her. So Ken gets up there and he says, yeah, when when James Brown died, Herb took me to New York, and we just walked into James Brown's funeral because Herb just said, "I'm Herb Kent," and he walked right through. He said that was just, it was a wonderful thing for him because he was with Herb Kent, right? And Herb was the one that got him, you know, into James Brown's funeral. So it came my turn. My story was totally different. My story was, well, I've known Herb Kent since I was about, 13, 14 years old. He put me on the radio. I was a teen DJ on Herb Kent's show back in the day on WVON when they were on 1450. And ever since then, I've aspired to be like him. You could have bought Ken for a penny. He was like, oh, um, Big Al. I didn't know. I said, yeah, I've known Herb since I was a teenager. Okay. I didn't just meet him recently when her when James Brown died in '06. I've known him since 72, 73. He didn't like that at all. He's hated me ever since. I always ask him, I said, are you ever going to hire me for one of your parties? Oh, well, my people, they do all the hiring. So they always hire Sam Chapman, right, for their parties. And I understand it. I get it. Ronnie said coattail rider. Coattail rider. But God bless his ministry. I tell you, God bless his ministry. Ken Bedford. But you should have seen the look on his face. Woo! He was so mad. He was so mad. After the whole interview, he came over to me. He's like, trying to get in where he thinks he got in. He's like, Big Al, I didn't know. I said, I know you didn't know. You just thought I was a coattail rider like yourself. I never rode Mr. Kent's coattails. You know, he brought me along with everything he did. Um, he used to do a party at this place called Just Us Lounge on 47th Street, 47th and Champlain, right off of Champlain. So I always would meet him there, and I would help him carry his records. That's right, records. And that was back in the day. That's how I kept my association with Mr. Kent. I didn't just start doing this. I've been a DJ since I was a teenager. Um, just ask my sister, ladies and gentlemen. I'm, you know, Angie. How long have I been a DJ? Angie Martin Turner, my sister. Just like we met Doug Banks before he got real famous in the '80s. Yep. Yes, I remember I mentioned the Just Us Lounge on 47th Street, which is where Herb used to spin. And whenever he would say he was going to be somewhere, I would be there first. Most of our lives. Thank you, Angie. So, what's up? What's up, bro? Happy belated birthday to Rico Michael Jackson. But no, I'm not new to any of this. This is what I've been doing since I was a kid. So, but once again, God bless his ministry. I guess he thought I was a Johnny Come Lately. How did Al Greer get on WVON? It's like they called me. I was just the fill-in guy, and they said, "Well, we got a permanent spot for you." I said, "Oh, okay, cool," and that was it. So, once again, God bless your ministry, Ken Bedford. You're all right with me. What happened? The video froze, and it froze on Robert Money. There we go. Yep. The Reverend Al Green, and you are so beautiful right here on Bedtime Stories. The show designed with the lovers in mind, where we put you to bed, but never to sleep with the greatest love songs of all time. Thank you so much for joining me, even though I was late. Ronnie sent me a text. She said, "Are you all right?" I'm like, I'm just running a little late tonight from the Alhambra Palace, but I made it. Victor Jackson, thank you so much. He said, Herb Kent and Richard McGee were my instructors at Columbia College when I was in my 20s. He says, I'm 61 today. Happy birthday, by the way, man. Happy birthday, Vic Jackson. Vic and I started at the same station out in Gary, Indiana, WLTH, back in the day. I don't know if he was there first or if I was there first, but we had two young ladies who had similar names. One was Dana Lynn Huskinson or Hutchinson, and the other one was Dinah Lynn Biggs. So there was a Dana Lynn and there was a Dinah Lynn. So, yep, we were both at the same station at about the same time. How about that? And that was back in what, 81, 82, 83, something like that. 83, I think it was. Yeah. So anybody who thinks that I just started doing this, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Bedtime Stories is sponsored by our good friends over at Grubhub. It's time to do that delivery dance, y'all. Mm-hmm. 82, okay. There you go.
Get the food you love with perks from
Grubhub.
Grub what you love.
Grubhub, of course, is a proud sponsor of Bedtime Stories on WOSD Radio DB Chicago, WDLB Indianapolis and Chicago, And of course, the best music of your life.com. It's your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. I was in such a hurry to run in tonight that I forgot to take my glasses off. I hope you guys like my glasses. Um, Everybody, it's like no comment about the other glasses. Y'all didn't like the round glasses? They like these better. But thank you. I appreciate that. Once again, happy birthday to Victor Jackson. He made 61 today. Congratulations, man. You keeping up with me, man. Or trying to catch up. Also to Rashard, thank you so much. And Ronnie, thank you for your concern. I appreciate you. And all the lovely messages you send me in the morning. I appreciate that. That gets me going. I really appreciate that. Between you and Angela Jones. Yeah, that's what's going on. Here's Sweet Anita Baker, the first of two in a row on Bedtime Stories. This is my favorite. Now, if it was my favorite, how come I couldn't remember the name of it? And it's right there. Fairy Tales. You had Mr. Piggy for an instructor at Columbia College. How about that? Angie said, you've been continuing the legendary sound ever since. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you. Thank you, Angie. Most people, there's no nicer way to put it. Most people hate on me because of my association with Richard Piggy, Mr. Piggy, and of course, Mr. Kent. Like all the time. It's like, why are you hating me? Don't hate me because you ain't me. You know. But it is what it is. So anyway, let me get off of that because it it never changes. It's a never changing thing. They're going to continue to hate me. But it was something that our associate preacher said a few weeks ago. He said, if you don't have any haters, then you're doing something wrong. It's always going to be somebody uh, that don't like you for one reason or another. I'm like, what did I do? Oh, well. Whatever it was that I did, oh, well. I'm going to keep doing it. Vic said I was in my 20s when I met you. Wow. Whoa. I know, right? In your 20s. Good Lord. Mm-mm. That's what's up. Yeah, you can tell people that you know me. Like, you don't know Al Greer. Or those that, talk about me and say, they never heard of me. I'm like, okay. Like today, tonight when I was at the Alhambra Palace. So I'm sitting next to DJ Chip and Herb Kent. And I guess the other sound man came over and he's like, you can't sit here. I'm like, I need this. No, he didn't say that. He said, I need this spot. I said, okay. So I moved over. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what's really going on, bro? Did you not see the plugger and see my face on the plugger? You think I'm just sitting over here for nothing? I'm like, people, it's like, sir, I have the same equipment at the crib. I'm not trying to, but some people are, like I said, If you don't have any haters, then you're doing something wrong. You got to have at least one or two haters. I'm like, bruh, I'm on the show. So I guess when I walked up on stage, it was a different story. But I never said anything to the guy. I was like, bruh must be, I don't know, maybe he had a fight with his wife or his girlfriend or boyfriend before he left the crib. Ooh, did I say boyfriend? Yeah, it was, because that was some BS, and I don't mean bull. I mean some shit. Okay, you don't ask me. I need this space. I'm like, okay, so I'll move down. And he said it again. Okay, I moved down some more. Like, okay, all right, bro. I said, I think he just wants me to get up. You know, you know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I took his girlfriend once or something. I don't know. Or one night he was listening to me on the radio and you know his girlfriend said, "Oh, I'm not going to bed until I hear Al Greer. You ain't gonna get none until I hear him." So whatever it was, because the other guy, DJ Chip, he never said anything. As a matter of fact, we were sitting there having a conversation when the old boy just rolled up. I'm like, okay, I'll move. I'll go stand on stage. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So you know, I know, right? Yeah. So so when I got on stage, I told everybody who I was and stuff. I said, I'll take some applause. Okay, that's enough. Don't want to wear yourselves out. It's gonna be a long night. Okay, a long night. But I I stopped worrying about people a long time ago. You know, like like last night when the guy was talking about um, he's like I can see that you're black. Why are you saying that you're not black? I said, because I'm not black. You know, I'm not dissing black people. I just you know I'm a part of this, a little part of that. I'm just not claiming one race, okay? He seemed to have a problem with that. Do you live at 7925 South Euclid? It's like, yeah, that's where I live. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's where I live. Yeah. Are you having financial difficulties? Why do you say that? Oh, because there's a sign on that particular house. Well, I'm sure there is a sign on it because the the chimney went through the roof, fell straight through the house. Yeah, he Googled me, right? Like 7925 Euclid. And I got to tell you guys, to be honest, I haven't lived at that address in years. That was the same address that my family lived. My mother, my father, my brother, and myself. But that was years ago. So sorry, bro. He Googled me. So well, that was good of him. And every now and then I let it slip. I try to remain as calmly as I can. And every now and then people will try me, they'll test me. And I said, if you don't believe me, why don't you Google me? If you don't know I am, Google me then. I'm not gonna go with you. Right. You're not gonna Google me because you don't want to look like an idiot or more of an idiot than you already are. Because you don't know who I am. Okay. I said, well, Google me. I can't let you in. I don't know who you are. Google me, fool. I'll wait. I'll stand out here in the cold till you Google me because you're going to let my ass in this club. Okay? You're not turning to Bernie Mac. You're okay. You don't know who you You know, like, then the rest of the night, it's the ass kissing that I get. Man, I ain't mean no harm, bro. Ain't no, hey man, what you drinking? Split of mums. Okay. In fact, give me a whole magnum of mums. If you really sorry, give me a whole bottle of champagne. Man, I didn't know who you was, man. The other guy that worked security, he said, man, that's Al Greer, man. You better let him in, man. He'll talk about you on the radio. You know, it's like you arrogant all the time. It's like, look, bruh, I don't have to lie about who I am, okay? If you don't believe it, Google me. There's a big old picture of me. That's it. You know, I bet if I said I was Shamar or Denzel or something, you'd let my ass in, wouldn't you? You don't have to Google him. You know, it reminds me of what's that character that Martin does? Where he don't want to let nobody in the club. He's like, hey, but I'm so and so. I don't. How do I know that you're? Like really? How do you know I'm Al Greer? Okay. How do you not know that I'm Al Greer? Were you deprived as a kid? Your mom wouldn't let you have a radio? Is that what it was? Oh, now you're getting smart with me. I'm asking you a question, idiot. Your fifth grade educated mother, you know, don't talk about your Shamara. I know, right? But I'm just saying, if a guy came up and said, hey, I'm Shamar Moore, and he looked like Shamar Moore, let him in. If it's $5 or $10 to go in the club, you pay the $5 or the $10 and let me in. And you figure it out later on, okay? But they kill me with that. How do I know you're Al Greer? I said, you got a phone in your back pocket, don't you? Probably in the crack of your ass. Why don't you pull it out your ass and Google me? Then it'll tell you who I am. When you weren't allowed to listen to radio back in the day or something? I've been on the radio since I was 13. Goof. I know, right? I don't understand, but I do. I do and I don't. Uh, but if I was, Crazy Howard or Ramonski, they just let me walk right through. Now, who are you? Bang, bang, bang. Ski, ski, ski. Oh, go right ahead, Mr. Ramonski love. I don't have no catchphrase. Guess. I'm just a, regular Joe. You know. From one of the baddest albums she ever did, Compositions, Whatever It Takes to Make You Happy, Whatever It Takes to Make You Smile. The record company said, Miss Baker, we need an album from you. She was like, can't you see I'm pregnant right now? I'm about to have a child here. I'm not doing no album for nobody. I'm not going to nobody's studio to do no album. She said, if you want an album out of me, well, you're going to have to bring the studio to me. Within days, there was a truck sitting outside, said Wally Hyder Studios. It's like, y'all serious, aren't you? Yep. Musicians came in there, they soundproofed the house, and they did the album Compositions, and it won a Grammy. How about that? Y'all want an album? Come get it. They sat around the house, they wrote songs, and then they did them in her living room. How bad is she? I tell you. Anyway, it's Michael Jackson, Lady in My Life on Bedtime Stories. It's your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. What'd you say, Rashard? You're a regular jock, not a regular Joe. Thank you. I know, right? Woo! Mm. But these people, they act like it's their club. You know, like the owners don't come up and say, "How many people did you let in free tonight?" It said that they were celebrities. Like the night that Marshall Thompson was here, it's like they knew he was coming. You know, I said, "Oh well, I'm with Mr. Thompson." Who? Marshall Thompson, the Shawlights. What? And it was the same guy who was like that bought me a beer that night. Man, I was just playing with you, man. I know who you is. I know who Mister Whispers in the Dark. Yeah, okay, but you're gonna give me a hard time at the door in front of other people and your other knucklehead security guards. Your $5 an hour mother. Anyway, let me stop. Yeah, they might be listening. Now I don't have a problem going into what is the club? Geno's. When I fill in for Eric E.T. Taylor. I never have a problem going in there. As a matter of fact, all the security guards, they all know me. I come in there like, hey guys, hey, what's going on? I just walk right through, bags and all. You want to check my bag? Go right ahead. Mm-mm. You might find something in there. Go ahead, check my bag. Mm-mm. Please, I could have a freaking a Moss double barrel sawed off shotgun in my bag, and they'll let me walk through with it. These other places, I tell you, some of my wife's younger friends don't understand Anita, and I don't get it that they don't know who Anita Baker is. Now, every Anita's not everybody's cup of tea, you know. But when people come up to me and I'm DJing and they say, "You don't have anything up to date," I said, "Like what?" Like some Beyonce. Like, what is wrong with you people? They swear up and down. You ain't got Beyonce's new song. Well, you ain't no DJ. Yeah, but I got everything that Anita Baker made. That's got to count for something. You ain't got no new music. Nah, I ain't got no new music. But yeah, there's a big what do they call it? Generational gap. The people of this generation will never know what a true singer sounds like. Because they have their finger up their butt about you know um, about who they think a real singer is. And Beyonce is a good performer. Right, without auto tune. Yeah. Hey, Troy. Listen to Dean Martin. Yeah, okay. You know, They'll know what a true singer sounds like if they're cool and listen to Dean Martin. Okay. Anyway, if they've heard of Dinah Washington, they could relate to Anita. You're absolutely right. Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughan, Nancy Wilson. They were not jazz singers. They were song stylists. You know, you never heard them talk about Nancy Wilson being a jazz singer because she didn't fit that mold. She didn't fit that category. She wasn't, you know, she wasn't a Sarah Vaughan or an Ella Fitzgerald. You know, yeah, her singing was totally different. Nancy was in a category all by herself, all by herself. You know, and a lot of people could not make that. You never liked Nancy Wilson. Whoa, 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 Rich. Whoa, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, hey, hey. Mm-mm. You thought she was stuck up. Okay, all right, I get it. I get it. I understand. And it's cool. I get it. Um, a few years ago, there was we respected her singing. Well, thank you. There was a young lady, or there is a young lady who will probably be on my live later on, who met Mary D. And Mary kind of rubbed her the wrong way. And ever since then, she said she hated Mary D. That one, that first and probably last meeting that she had with Mary D. Mary D was friends with Nancy Wilson. They were close friends. I mean, just, they were as close as Gail and Oprah. So, but, so you about to be unfriended? I know, but, I never really knew Nancy Wilson. I knew Mary D. And, a lot of people in the business are not the nicest people in the business. It wasn't until Herb Kent died that Gene Chandler and I really started, talking. He saw that I was friends with Herb, and then I hung around Richard. He didn't care for Richard too much, but Herb was his guy. Herb was the only one that could talk about him and get away with it. You know, and Herb would say how arrogant Gene Chandler was, and if he wasn't so arrogant, he would have gone even further than what he went in his career. And I understand, but I don't think that was anything that Herb should have said on the air. He said that about Gene Chandler on the air, and they remained friends until Herb died. So, but I remember seeing Nancy once. This was before I met Mary D. No, I take that back. I met Mary D. I was DJing a wedding reception at the Martinique over on 82nd, 83rd, whatever. So I was DJing this wedding reception, and sitting at the head table was Mary D. And I got up enough nerve to go over there and speak to her, because you just don't walk up on Mary D. So I had to have my wrap tight. So I walked up to Mary D. I said, ma'am. No, I said, Miss D. Didn't say ma'am. Didn't use the ma'am card. I said, Miss D, my father is a big fan of yours. And I would just love to take back an autograph of you or from you to my dad. He loves you so much. And so do I. And I see now why he loves you so much. She said, come here, baby. I'm like, ooh, wait. She called me baby. She said, come here, baby. She said, if you play some Nancy Wilson, I'll give you that autograph. Now, if I had have been some Rudy Poot punk ass DJ, yeah, I said it. I'd have ran with my tail between my legs, right? I went back over there, pulled out the Nancy Wilson albums. At that time, I was playing albums. Pulled out a Nancy Wilson album, and I played it. You know, she was talking to someone. Yeah, yeah, and she heard that. I was like, I got you, I got you, I got you, Mary D. And that was it. You know, I played that Nancy Wilson. She was like, and who do I make this out to? Gotcha. Yep, I gotcha. And that was it. Mary D, rest in peace. When she passed this year, I was just messed up. I lost my sister, I lost Mary D, and we lost Purvis Span. Mary D sent this beautiful text message, you know. I mean, because she was just so classy. And she said, condolences to the Span family. You know, I'm sure it said more than that, but it was the fact that she sent the text, you know, to us, to WVON. I was like, wow, wonderful lady, wonderful lady. Mary D. Last time I saw her was at Richard Steele's birthday party this past January. A few months later, she was gone. That is the entire version of Human Nature from Michael Jackson, right here on Bedtime Stories with the Peanut Butter Brother, Dr. Al Greer. 40 years. What am I talking about? 40 years since Thriller came out. And every song on the Thriller album was a hit. Everything was released as a single. Every single song was a hit. Billie Jean, Thriller, Baby Be Mine, um, The Girl Is Mine. I'm like, how did that happen? PYT, all of those on the same album. Human Nature on the same album. It doesn't get any better than that. Every cut was a cut. Everything was great. Anyway, it's your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. Richard says, Zorana, heck, you might as well throw away my black card because I was never a fan of Whitney Houston. Richard, first he said he didn't like Nancy Wilson. He said, I never liked her. He said, I thought she was really stuck up. Well, Nancy Wilson may have been stuck up, but she had one of the greatest voices that I ever heard. Even before Phyllis Hyman, we were listening to this Nancy Wilson. Sing, baby. Mm. Or you like Whitney, you wasn't crazy about her music. Mm. Over me. Mm. Mm. They played this at Purvis Band's funeral with a slideshow. There was not a dry eye in Apostolic, I tell you. Mm. Thinking About You by Whitney Houston, produced by Kashif. Yeah. Kashif never got a second chance to produce her. That was it. His music was too urban, and they wanted a more pop sound, so he was done. His music was too black. Years later, they would use Babyface in L.A. to blacken her back up. So, you're as right as rain, mellow as the shower on a summer's day. You saying R. Kelly too? I know, right? But see, Ara had written for Celine Dion, so he was okay. No, he wasn't a threat. How this game to play, and I don't feel that way. That's right. This is rain. That rain. Hard to keep inside. Been misled. You're as right as rain. Sweet. Of course. That song always brings me to tears. Produced and arranged by Gene Page, who used to do all of the Barry White arrangements. Nancy Wilson, you're as right as rain. Those strings, when those strings come in, whoo, you got me. You got me. I love that song. Nancy Wilson, you're as right as rain. It's your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. I guess I better go answer the door now. I got company. Here's Teddy and Whitney. I'll be black. Don't look at my dishes. I'm going to confirm with that, sir. Come on in. Have a seat, sir. So come right in. Oh, man. Yep. This is where it all happens. Mm-hmm. Look, I was going to say look familiar, but, I remember when you had yours. Yeah, man. In your bedroom. I'm like, this your bedroom? Yeah. You got figures and stuff in your bedroom? That brother bad. I like that. That's how we all start, right? Mm-hmm. We want to hire planes and end up on WVON and stuff. There you go. I know you remember how to do that. Oh, man. Yep. Enjoying this weather, man. I can say enjoying the weather because I look, forward now to coming back to the snow. And I'm like, man, it needs to be snowing in Chicago because I'm missing the snow, man. Just for Christmas, not for a long time. Not for a long time. No. Because this is like in the 70s and 80s in Arizona, man. Every day, basically during the day, 75, 80 degrees. Yeah. So. Yeah. I talked to Marshall Thompson this morning. Oh, okay. He said, when you coming to Vegas? I said, when I get some Vegas money, I can't afford to go to Gary right now. He said, yeah, come on. He said, you ain't got to worry about nothing. I got you. Whatever you need, you just stay with me. I'm like, okay. Right. I said, there's a catch somewhere. I'm somehow, somewhere. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to take him up on it. Okay. And just show up at his door and see what he says. Right. I didn't know you was coming. Right. I just said that. I didn't know you were really coming. I'm like, yeah, I'm really coming. Yeah. Right. Yeah. He's there, and then I talked to Marv Dyson. Okay. Marv is in Vegas too. Oh, is he? And Marv asked me when I was coming out there. I said, soon. I'm coming out this soon. He said, oh, you'll love it out here. You won't want to go back to Chicago. You'll never miss another Chicago winter. I said, okay. I'll take your word for it. I was like, check that out. But, of course, it's the same weather all year round. Mm-hmm. But man, I got a chance to come down to your neck of the woods and
Arizona?
St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis. Okay, yeah, you were there not long ago.
Yeah, and me and Roy kicked it. Roy Michael Rubison.
Yeah.
I was like, he said, man, whenever you want to come back down here, just let me know. I'll put you up for the night. I said, okay.
Same thing, man. You want to come to Arizona? Come on. I always my house is big enough, man. I got enough room to put you up and
Cool.
turn a couple of corners and
Cool.
And we're definitely like 3 hours. Drop the top on the ride and jet up to Vegas for a day or so. Like 3 hours from Vegas. So we can do that and have a good time, man.
That's
I'm trying to get Roy out there. Roy, come on out to Arizona, man. It's beautiful out there. I love it out there.
He talking about coming back to Chicago. I said, come back here. He said, y'all got a program director there? I said, at VON? He said, they just hired one. And he said, well, tell Melody, I said, man, you don't work for Melody. I'm there and I don't want to work for her.
Melody Spain.
I'm there and I don't want to work for her. Everybody's like, man, you gonna cuss her out? I said, no, not me. I said, I've worked for some of the worst and some of the best PDs. And I've either gotten cussed out or fired or whatever. I said, I remember one year, you had just left, and I was doing afternoons at LTH, and Fred Moore came back. And Fred came, and he only stayed for like a hot second. He came into the studio, and he, and spoke to me and left. And I watched him walk. It was snowing that day, and I watched him walk out into the snow. And I was like, I thought to myself, you ain't gonna take me with you. At that time, he was down in
Memphis.
Down in Memphis at DIA. I said, man.
He was the voice of for many, because I heard him. I heard the commercial was a AutoZone, and I heard the AutoZone commercial, and I'm like, man, that sounds like Fred Moore. And I ended up calling, saying, man, you doing AutoZone? I said, yep, that's me. So he was the voice of AutoZone for many years, man. Then about a year or so after I discovered it was him, about a year or so after he lost that, they went in another direction. But he was the voice of AutoZone, man, for many years.
He had a great voice. Him and Jay Johnson and Rags and all of them. I was like, man, I just admired them for years. They just had that natural voice. Whenever I talk to Jay Johnson, it's like his voice is just so strong. He sounds the same as he did back in the 70s when he was doing afternoons at VON. All right, let's talk, man. Let's talk shop. This low, this low. The Joy Tones and This Love right here on Bedtime Stories with your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. Now, I knew I was going to have company tonight, but I wasn't too sure if I was going to have company. Can you hear me over there, sir?
No.
No? Really? Well, let me turn your head. How about now?
I hear the music.
You hear the music?
But not you.
You can't hear me. That's weird. That's really weird. Okay. Let me try something here. Let's see. Microphone. Let's see. No, just a regular microphone. Okay, cool. That's weird. You should be able to hear me. But anyway, let me turn the music down so you can hear me. Ladies and gentlemen, I can hear him on the microphone, but he can't hear me on the microphone. Well, anyway, let me try that. Okay. This gentleman that is in the studio with me right now is, I don't want to say he's totally responsible for me being on the radio, but he's somewhat responsible for me being on the radio. Back in 1982, 83, I got a call saying that this gentleman was going to do radio in St. Louis, and they needed somebody to do afternoon drive. He and I went to the same school, but not at the same time. We went to South Shore. Remember that?
Absolutely. South Shore Tars, man.
So, so when he left, I got a chance to take his place, and that gentleman is Mr. Bob Coleman. And I want to tell you, thank you. You know,
Hey, man, that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what it's all about, man. What do we call it? Passing the torch. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to come in, man, and sit in on the show here tonight. Being back here in Chicago. For me, where it all started, I went down a little memory lane prior to coming here tonight. Went back to the old stomping ground, man, and drove by Reese's Lounge and saw it all boarded up.
I know, right?
Yeah, that was like family to me, man. I know Marlon Burnside. He passed about a year or so ago now, but we all grew up together on the South Side. I lived there at 87th Street, 87th and Woods. But radio back then for all of us, man, was just a dream and something that people like you and I, always wanted to do. And I was able to start out in, like you said, Greer, Indiana, WLTH radio, and was able to move on from there to Tennessee, work in Jackson, and then work in St. Louis and Georgia, and just had a very good career in radio, man. Worked with a lot of great people, Doc Jones, and Bobby and Roy, and a lot of great people that I, at one time grew up listening to.
I remember, yeah.
I got a chance to work with Doc Jones in St. Louis, and Doc was like one of my radio heroes. I know we all have heroes, people that I know you and Richard McGee were really, really close.
Yeah.
And so Doc Jones was my hero. Yeah, I remember when he signed on the air here in Chicago. Barry Mayo introduced him to the Chicago market, and for me to be able to get the opportunity to work alongside him, on the same team, just, for lack of a better term, at Magic on the way in St. Louis was awesome. So it's been an awesome ride, man.
So you did all those stations. So what are you doing now, Bob?
Now I'm living in Arizona, and I have my own company. Actually, my company is called Bulletproof. I have a training company where I do training seminars and training sessions for groups, organizations, business teams, sales teams, you name it. I teach and I train on the laws of success. And you,
me,
you've seen it. Because I tell people, if I can do it, growing up on the South Side of Chicago, living in the Robert Taylor homes at one time, with nothing but a dream in my eye, and I did it. And so I tell people, if I can do it, from living in the Robert Taylor homes to living in a 2-story penthouse in St. Louis, and I tell people, I don't say that to impress you, but I say that to impress upon you that if I can do it, you can do it. There's greatness in all of us. And so, man, I've actually, from working, with Doc Jones alongside, I was sitting in my car listening to Doc Jones sign on WGCI. And then a few years later, he and I were, co-workers together at Magic. And just the great people that I've gotten a chance to work alongside. Me and Angela Winbush actually did a pilot radio show together a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just some great things, man. Some people that I can now call my friends that are in the industry. Wrote a stage play that was performed on stages in St. Louis and took it out on the road as well. And so I teach and I train again on the laws of success with Bulletproof. I do one major event every year in Arizona because I'm in Arizona. But it's always the first weekend in Arizona where I fly in a keynote speaker and allow them to share their story. Because what Bulletproof means that you never quit in life. You never give up, you never quit, and you never stop, no matter what. And there's nothing that you can't do and achieve. And I've done that. And so I tell people my training is all practical. It's not theory. I'm not one of these guys that read a book or watched a couple of videos and I want to go online and regurgitate what I've heard someone else say. I've actually lived Bulletproof. I was also in law enforcement for a few years because I wanted to. So in St. Louis, I became a St. Louis City police officer.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and that's again because I wasn't snatched in off the street and forced to become a police officer. That was something that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, I was heavy in radio at that time. And when I decided to turn the corner and become a police officer, again, a lot of people told me, "Oh man, you can't. It's political. You know, you have to know somebody." And I said, "Watch me,"
Mm-hmm.
and I did it. You know, and so that's what I do now. I teach and I train people how to recognize and realize the greatness that's in all of us
Mm-hmm.
and how to use that greatness. And it's all biblically based. It's all based on God's word.
So when you were working down at Magic in St. Louis, was that the last station that you worked at?
Oh no, the last station I worked was in St. Louis, but I worked at all of the urban stations in St. Louis from Magic on the way to Mix 97.1, which is Magic's competition for many years with Mike Love, who Mike Love was the program director. He went on and started working in New York City. I think he took Frankie Crocker's place, but Mike Love and I worked in St. Louis together. So Mix 97 in St. Louis, WCBW, which was a Christian station in St. Louis, did some voice work for them. Bach Radio in St. Louis, which is another Christian station, did some board op. We never really opened the mic at Bach. It was just pretty much playing Christian programming all day in St. Louis. So we were able to do that other than, I think we read the weather. That was pretty much it. And then I had my own radio program that I did a few years later. I'm like you, Al. Once you get bit by the bug, man, this never comes out of our system, right?
Never.
And so
Never.
I did, the Bob Coleman Bulletproof Radio Experience, which is streamed on the internet. I did that for about a year and a half out of St. Louis, and now a lot of those shows are still archived on Spotify.
Oh wow! Okay, that's good. That's great. I remember back in the day, and I think we both had that hairstyle. We had the Jerry curl. Bob Coleman had his own style of I mean, you could go to the barber shop and say, "Hey, give me the Bob Coleman look."
And you know where I got that look from?
Where?
I actually got it from Skip from the Daz Band.
Get out of here!
Skip from the Daz Band came to the station. I interviewed him, and he walked in. He had that ducktail Jerry.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, man, I went bananas, and I said, I gotta have it. But actually, I got it from Skip from the Daz Band.
Get out of here! I interviewed him a few months ago.
Okay.
And the next time I interview him, I'm gonna ask him about his Jerry curl, because
that's where I got it from. Because actually, and you worked at WOTH, and this is something that if you're not in the industry, you wouldn't really understand it. But WOTH was a reporting station. We reported to Billboard,
right?
And that's why we got all the perks that we got, because although we were in Gary, Indiana, we were a reporting station. So all of the radio execs and all the record promoters, they would all come through LTH because we were a reporting station. And we got that by default because BMX and GCI were so close in proximity in Chicago that they both couldn't be reporting stations. So it was one of those two and then us.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Because that's where I met people like Frank Chaplin and Eddie Holland and Gus Redmond. Did I say Gus Redmond? Yes, I did. Alvin Stone, Eddie Thomas.
And that's if it had not been the fact that we were a reporting station to Billboard, they wouldn't give us the time of day being in Gary, Indiana. But because we reported to Billboard, they had to give us the best of. We got the jackets, we got the perks, we got the lunches, we got all of that.
Wow, that is crazy. I'm gonna play a song here, and then we're gonna come back. We're talking to Bob Coleman. Bob was, like I said, he was instrumental in getting me into radio because he let me know that there was a spot open, and I didn't think I was gonna get the spot. I was, young at the time, and I like you said, I got bit by the bug, and I couldn't do nothing else with my life, unfortunately. Of course, I never made any money out of it until now, but we're going to talk more with Bob Coleman right now. We're going to listen to The Main Ingredients. This is Spinning Around. It's Bob Coleman and Al Greer and Bedtime Stories. Now,
Good stuff.
this is the first time I've had a host or a co-host or a guest since I moved from Park Forest back in 2020.
Wow.
My then wife used to co-host, and then the young lady I was living with would co-host with me. But you know, and since then I've been trying to get a co-host.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but there was one young lady. I think she only did it because she wanted to piss off my wife. My wife had gotten mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on the air one night. I said, yeah, I'm looking for a new co-host. So if any ladies out there want to co-host the show with me, come on down. And this girl hit me up. And she said, I'll come down there. And of course, my wife saw it. She was really, she was steaming.
Wow.
I don't want her down there.
Right.
I was like, this is my radio station. And at that time, my station was on 79th and East End, right next door to the Regal Theater.
Okay. I feel that.
And she, I don't want that. It's down there. I'm like, okay, all right. So you coming back to the show? And every now and then, my wife would come back and co-host the show with me. Because she didn't want this other young lady sitting in her chair.
Yeah, we opened the door for Dinah Biggs too. We brought her in back at the LTH days and got her going back in the day.
And now she's got her own station, and she's doing very well. She went back to LTH, and then I hired her away from LTH because they, by that time, the Williams brothers, Tommy and what's the other guy's name? I can't think of the other guy, but they had a station, internet station, but the internet station transmitted to a station down in, I think, Alabama or something like that, Smoking 99.
Mm-hmm.
So she was doing that for a while, and then after a while, they started messing with her money. I said, well, you got sponsors. Why don't you bring them here to my station? I'll put you on at the same exact time that you're on with them. And she said, okay. And that was it. So, and she's been with me ever since. Spinning around from the main ingredient right here on Bedtime Stories with your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer, along with Mr. Bob Coleman. Like I said earlier, Bob and I worked at WLTH, not exactly at the same time. That's funny. We never worked at the same station at the same time. It's like when I got there, you were leaving to go to Magic and say,
it was so funny, man. One of the last things I did at WLTH, just to kind of show you the kind of station it was and the kind of relationships we had. Right before we were leaving LTH, I was going to work for a station in Tennessee, Kicks 96 FM.
Okay.
And DeBarge came to LTH, and I was actually interviewing DeBarge. And after the interview, I took him to the production room, and I had him record drops for the station I was going to.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had DeBarge in there, doing the drops for, Kicks 96 FM. But it was just, radio was fun then.
Yeah.
Radio was fun then, man. And it was still, we were respected as celebrities.
Yeah. We were.
Really and truly were respected as celebrities. Not that we really wanted to be, but as a matter of fact, on my radio show, the Bulletproof Radio Report, I still use a drop from the LTH days, way back. I still use a drop, I haven't used it in a while, but, and the drop was simply Tommy Williams, who was my news guy on LTH. And every day we would have a topic of the day. And this one particular day, the topic was who's the sexiest man in Gary.
Okay.
And so a lot of ladies were calling saying, Bob Coleman, Bob Coleman, Bob Coleman. and this one lady she says, I think Bob Coleman is the sexiest man in Gary. And Tommy goes, really? Why would you say that? She goes, because he's like a slim piece of leather, well put together.
Oh, Lord.
And I still use that drop to this day on my radio shows, man. I use that Bob Coleman, the slim piece. But it was just fun. You know, It was fun radio. You know, the things that we used to do, you know, leaving Gary, Indiana and going down to Jackson, which was another, you know, in Tennessee in the South, you make the mistake of going on the radio and saying that you're hungry or you're thirsty or whatever. Next thing you know, people are showing up at the radio station with dinners and cakes and pies and turkey dinners. And it was awesome, man. We had such a great time.
It wasn't so awesome for me. And I wait a minute. Let me get official first. We're WLT, good Lord. WOSD Radio DB Chicago, WDLB Indianapolis and Chicago, and the best music of your life. Now that we're official, you know, we still do legal IDs on internet radio. But I remember a young lady who called me once, and she was like, I heard you say you were hungry on the air. I said, yeah. So she brought me down a plate of food, right? And, you know, we kind of sort of started a relationship where at the time, there was another gentleman who worked there. His name was Eric Blakey. I think it was Eric Blakey, but he went by EB on the air. Well, he was on in the afternoons on the weekends, and I was still doing your shift from 3 until, you know, station, still sign off. Yeah. A lot of people don't know anything about that, but I'll tell them about that later. So this young lady brought me, you know, some food, and we started a little relationship and everything else. And one night I had spent the night in Gary, and I stayed at EB's house. And we were talking about this girl. I said, what does she look like, man? He said, well, she's, you know, this, that, and the other. He described her. I'm like, that sounds like my girl. She'd bring me food down to the station and everything else. And we both said her name at the same time. He said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call her and, you know, have her come over the house. I was like, oh, okay, cool. We'll see if, you know, exactly if that's the same girl. So he calls her, and she came down to his house, and I stood behind the door, and they're talking. She said, "You're not gonna let me in?" I said, "Yeah, come on in, baby." So she walks in. She turns around to talk to him, right? And there I am standing there. You could have bought her for a penny. She was like, "Oh, you all set me up." I was like, "No, you set yourself up."
Wow.
So did you ever have? I know you did. Did you ever have stalkers?
Oh yeah, that's a part of the business, man. We all have had situations like that. But I took on in St. Louis, believe it or not, man, I took on the persona or the personality of Morris Day.
Okay.
Because Morris Day is one of my favorite guys, man. And as a matter of fact, when they would come to St. Louis, I was the only person that they would allow to bring them on stage.
Really?
Oh yeah, we would have so much fun.
Oh wow.
And so I took on that personality. Kid Williams. I had my posse. We go to the club in St. Louis, and and I have my driver, and I have my security guys, and I
never had no. Yes, I did. I did have a bodyguard. I take that back.
Yeah, and so we went to the club, and it was like Magic 108 night. I didn't talk to a lady. I would sit there. There was a table aside for me and my crew, and if I saw a young lady that I was interested in, I would send my guy Mike go get her.
Okay.
And he would go to the young lady, and he would he would tell her what to do. When you get to the table, don't sit down until Bob tells you to.
I'm in the presence of greatness here.
Well, we were having fun,
right?
Because I can tell I don't drink. I never have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't smoke. I never have. I
I
don't
know.
do drugs. I never have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we just had good, clean fun
Mm-hmm.
with the girls, but we had good, clean fun.
Wow.
You know,
See
so
that
was great.
I never got a chance to do any of that. I mean, I was like, I was a nerd until I got into radio. And once I got into radio, I really didn't have to say too much of anything. I would just open my mouth and they'd be like, "Your voice sounds so familiar." I was like, "Well, I do afternoons at LTH, And they would always ask me the same question. Whatever happened to Bob Coleman? I could not shake you left an indelible on the whole city,
Yeah, we had such a great time at LTH, man. The parade they did every year, and it was Gus Redmond.
Yes.
Gus Redmond, and we did so much, and that was one of the cool things about radio. Radio, you could really use your imagination,
Mm-hmm.
and you can create anything you wanted.
Oh yeah,
because radio it's theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind,
and so you could create anything you wanted, and I was good with creating,
mm-hmm.
and so I would just create stuff, and we would do things, man, that had never been done before in the different market,
mm-hmm.
even in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. Doing the night flight in St. Louis, and I created that whole night flight platform because.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis is a 24-hour town, like that.
Oh yeah.
Like now, there are people working here in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
It's called third shift.
Right.
And these people are working, and when they're at work, they want to listen to something.
Mm-hmm.
The city never sleeps.
Never.
And so we're here to entertain and be the voice of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was no night flight in St. Louis. I created the night flight
mm-hmm.
that whole program, man, and it was awesome. People would call in, and I can honestly say. My payday, and I had a couple of paydays, but my payoff for my career looking back was the day that Doc Jones told me that my show was awesome.
Wow.
For your hero, you can imagine Michael Jordan, you playing beside Michael Jordan on the team, and he comes to you and say, "Hey, Greer, I just want to let you know your game is awesome."
Mm-hmm.
When Doc Jones told me that my show was awesome, and my show would lead into his show because he was doing mornings, I was doing overnights. And so he really never heard my show because it would lead into his show. But right before he left Magic, he wasn't on the air and he was able to hear my show.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to the station one day and he was like, "Bob," he always called me Little Bobby. Little Bobby. Little Bobby. "What's up, man?" He goes, "Man," he said, "Dude," he said, "Man, your show was awesome, Bobby. I didn't know you were doing all that at night."
Wow.
And so a lot of stuff, we borrowed a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from Chicago, I was just going to say his name. It popped right out of my head. But he did the, and I use that in St. Louis.
Mel Devine?
Not Mel.
Okay.
He passed away a few years ago.
Oh wow!
In Chicago, and he did the not necessarily unnecessary history.
Okay.
Oh God, he was on GCI. Everybody loved him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a big name here in Chicago.
Not Mike Hudson, was it?
No. Man, if I say his name, it'll come to me in a minute. But that's what we did, man. We borrowed from one another, and if I wanted to know what was going on in Chicago, I would listen to Al, or if I want to know what's going on in Memphis, I listen to Bobby O.
Mm-hmm.
But now radio is just different.
Yeah, it is.
It's just different.
Very different. And like you said earlier, we used to have fun. Now it's just, it's we just go to work now.
Absolutely.
And I know you miss the old days like I do, but these days I just go to work and that's it. I don't have these big expectations like I used to. Like, some celebrity's going to come down to the station today. I'm in talk radio. Nobody's going to.
The politicians that come during political time, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like, okay, I met Willie Wilson. Not one of my heroes. I met Governor Pritzker. Once again, not a hero, But every now and then we'll get a celebrity that I know to come down to the radio station, but that's like few and far between. So,
Well, man, it's also awesome to be able to say that I honestly introduced a lot of people to the airwaves.
mm-hmm.
A couple of people, one I know you'll recognize. It was a record. It was a 45
Mm-hmm.
that I found in the station when they just sitting around on the desk or something, and I liked the song, and so I asked Fred Moore, "Could I play it?" And he said he can play it. So I played this song. It was on a little jive record label no one ever heard of, and I would play this song every day. And I would tell people, this lady's going to be a big star one day. Trust me. Nobody knew her name. Nobody knew anything about her.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Fred actually reached out to her manager and told her manager, Bob Coleman in Gary, Indiana, he loves your artist. And they set up an interview.
Mm-hmm.
And so I interviewed her on LTH. She was like, oh, my God, I can't believe somebody wants to interview me. And she was like, oh, my God, I'm so excited. And I interviewed her on the air. And I told her she was going to be a big star one day. And a few years later, kablooey, she blew up. As a matter of fact, during the break, when I was interviewing her, she told me, she said, did you record that? I said, I sure did. And she said, here's my number, here's my address, send me a copy of their interview, and let's keep in contact. And
right.
I was like, okay. But, back then I was into my radio thing, and I never kept that relationship going. I just kind of let it fizzle. But a few years later, man, she blew up, and now the world knows her as Anita Baker.
Shut the front door. on that note, we're going to talk more with Bob Coleman about that, because I got a story for him, too. Anyway, we're going to go into foreplay. This young lady, of course, no stranger, not an Anita Baker, but she started off singing in church. Her mother sang with the Sweet Inspirations, as well as backup for the Queen of Soul. Tonight in Foreplay, we feature the music of Whitney Houston on Bedtime Stories. More with Bob Coleman coming up in a few minutes. Anita Baker.
Yeah, man, Anita Baker. I would play it. It was on Beverly Glen Records, was the record label, little brown record label, Beverly Glen Records.
I just did her in the spotlight last time. I'll be right back. Mm-hmm. I played her music. Man, that is crazy. Wow. Bob, I know you don't drink, but can I get you some water or something?
Water be fine. No problem.
Okay. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Anita Baker.
Yeah, man. She was a nobody, and I said, "Girl, you're gonna be a big star one day." She was like, "I think so." She was excited that I wanted to interview her. It wasn't the other way around, because she was. Matter of fact, she was in between record deals.
Right.
She was working as a secretary in some place in Detroit somewhere.
Right.
And she was like, "My manager called me and told me that somebody wanted to interview me. I couldn't believe it." And I'm like, "Well, yeah." I said, "Anita," I said, "I play your song every day on the radio here in the LTH, and it's a great song." And oh, thank you so much. And she gave me her phone number, man.
And you never kept in touch with her.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I have a similar story. Hey, Kimberly Burt. Good seeing you too, sweetheart. I'm sorry I had to leave so early, but I had a guest coming. I heard this record by this artist, and it sounded like she was whining. The then record rep, his name was, I think, Alan Cole or somebody. It was one of those guys. He calls me. He says, "So what do you think about so-and-so song?" I was like, It sounds like she whining on that song. I'm not a fan. I don't like it at all. 2 days later, she was at the station.
Mm.
I got a note in my mailbox saying that I was going to interview her. I'm like, really? Y'all gonna do me like that? Okay, all right, cool. So she walked into the station, 4'11", had on a stingy brim hat cocked to the side, had on some Prince boots, and she looked me up and down. She said, "So you didn't like my record, huh?" And she put on her CD. She said, "Well, you pick the next single." It's like, okay. And I put in the CD player. Went through number one, went past the song that I didn't like,
Mm-hmm.
and I found this song called "Rock with You,"
Mm-hmm.
which sounded like some Isaac Hayes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It had that waka, 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 doom, doom.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "This is your next single, Rock with You." I said, "It sounded like something that Isaac Hayes did." She said, "Yeah, he co-produced the song with me and co-wrote it. It was Alicia Keys."
Oh, wow. Wow.
And she looked me up and down like, "Oh, you like my song?" I said, "Well, you pick the next single." And I picked it.
Wow.
I don't know if it was the next single after Fallen, but it became a single from her first album, Songs in the Key of A Minor.
Wow.
But, I did not like it. I keep on falling. I was like, oh, God, I got to play this song every night. And it was always on my playlist every night. Fallen by Alicia Keys. So when she won the Grammy,
She thanked you.
She thanked Elroy. I was like, "I played your song, no."
Right.
I was the one. She thanked Elroy Smith.
Wow.
I was like, "I'll be there."
It's what like right now. I know I should have a gold record on my wall, the Chicago song, which is a jazz song.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of it's called the Chicago Song by not Cat Stevens. It's on my brain tonight.
Hubert Laws?
Man, saxophone player.
Oh, David Sanborn.
David Sanborn.
Yeah.
I broke that record.
Get out of here.
In St. Louis. Because it was a jazz song, and of course we didn't play jazz. Well, I'm in the office with Mike Stratford, who was board director. He's going through the music, and he goes, "Jazz." He goes, "Hey Bob, you like jazz?" I'm like, "Hey, here you go." He gives me the album.
Uh-huh.
So I flip it over, and the title caught my eye, the Chicago Song.
Of course.
Chicago. So I listened to it in the production room. I'm like, I like that. And so I use that as my theme song every night leading into my show, The Night Flight. And I put a voice sample on top of it. I put Kit Williams, Night Flight, Kit Williams. But I used David Sanborn, and people would call me, "Hey man, what's that song that you come on with every night?" And then I started hearing other stations play it. Then I started hearing it, but it wasn't a single. The record label didn't pick it. It was something that I played in St. Louis, and I started hearing cover bands do it. I heard it in the movie, and it went gold for him.
Yep.
And that should be a gold record for me because I broke that record.
Yep.
I broke that record. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no, I think I did. No, I did.
Nobody else was playing it. I hear you. I picked a lot of hits. I picked a lot of hits back in the day. I picked a lot of hits. And you're right. I should have gotten a gold record for some of those songs that I picked.
But that's the way in radio. If you pick it and it goes gold, if you broke it, if you're the jock that broke it, you should get a platinum just like they did.
There was a song that we played at LTH after you left. It was by a group called MGM. And the name of the song was "Why You Wanna Play, Man." You know who that was by?
Who?
R. Kelly and MGM.
Are you serious?
Somebody gave me the 12-inch. They said, "Play this, as a favor to someone." And I played it. It was like, I didn't think anything of it. This was right right before New Jack Swing became popular,
Mhm.
and it was R. Kelly.
Wow.
It was the same guy that I would see singing and performing in the subway.
Wow.
Next thing I know, he was on what was that show? Natalie Cole was doing like a Star Search type
Mhm.
show, and she said, "Ladies and gentlemen, here's MGM and featuring R. Kelly." And
Wow.
they went on to sign with Jive Records, and he did Born in the '80s or something like that. And it was, public announcement, R. Kelly and public announcement. And then the next thing you know, the public announcement was out, and Kelly was the headliner, and that was it.
In radio, you know, and this is a rhetorical question. I know the answer, of course. But how can you justify not having someone like you on the air now here in Chicago versus a Keith Sweat? And that's that show is to me the worst radio show ever produced in the world.
Oh yeah,
It's crap.
oh yeah.
And I'm like, and we'll see his income is bringing. I said, but no, someone like you would bring in far more income to the station because you're local, first of all.
But here's the deal: they don't have to pay him.
I know they don't. That's why I said it's a money deal to them.
They don't have to pay him. Like, for instance, Al B. Sure was doing.
His was just as worse.
He was doing 106 here until he got sick, and then they snatched it. But they kept the format that I use now. I listened to them one night. I'm like, wait a minute, that's my format. That's my music. So I called the station. I called the program director. I said, I tell you what, since you're using my music, why don't you use my voice? I said, I tell you what, I'll voice track the show for free, just to hear it.
Mhm.
And I have other people to listen to it, and maybe they'll pick it up as a syndicated show. He never called me. I guess he was too embarrassed to call me at that point, because it was like, okay, yeah, we're using, because they called it something like In the Dark, something similar to what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh well, since you're using my music, why don't you go ahead and just use my voice?
Right.
But I never got a call back from him.
Wow.
So I guess he said, well, we're gonna continue to use your music. We don't need you.
Right.
But yeah, they had Al B. Sure doing a Quiet Storm show.
Right. His was just as bad as Keith's.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. Yes.
But the thing is, once again, they don't have to pay them for that,
Right.
because Keith makes his money performing.
Right. Performing, and then they sell the show as a nationally syndicated show.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much money locally
Mm-hmm.
that you're leaving on the table that they can't get
Right.
because they don't have the local appeal.
Mm-mm.
It's so, like I said, using your imagination. I created stuff. I was a creator. I'm still a creator.
Mm-hmm.
But in radio, man, I was a creator, and I created whatever it is I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Very seldom did I ask for permission. I just did it and allowed people to catch up to what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did it for the love of it. I didn't do it, necessarily to make money.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for the love of it, and if it made money, it made money. But I didn't wait. I didn't ask for permission, and I just did it.
Well, what made my Whispers in the Dark show work is because, it's no secret I geared it towards women.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. I'm You know, if you don't have a boyfriend, I'm your boyfriend at night. And that's how I build it. So what happened was um, Glenn Cosby gave me this idea. He said, "Yeah, you might want to, gear this show towards women." He said, "Maybe you could come up with something like I don't know." He said, "Al's Gals." I was like, sounds corny.
Right.
Wasn't so corny after I started doing it on the air. I said, if you'd like to be one of Al's guys, call 5914-GCI.
Mm-hmm.
And I would record them on the reel to reel saying, "Hi, this is so and so." I said, "Well, just repeat after me. Hi, this is so and so. And I'm one of Al's gals, and I'm listening to Whispers in the Dark with Al Greer on WGCI." It took off like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the snowball effect.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going into in a meeting once. It was like every 3 months we would have a meeting, for the ratings.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked in there, and all the women in there were like, "Can I be one of Al's gals?" It's like, what? I didn't think they were listening.
Right.
I really didn't. I had no idea that my coworkers were listening at night. But I remember cutting an audition tape. Elroy had me to come off the air. I was on 1390 at the time. And he had somebody to run my board because, we didn't have automation back then. So somebody ran my board while I went into production and made a demo for this show called Whispers in the Dark. And I changed my name. I called myself Devin Alexander. I don't know where I came up with that. So I thought it was a cool name, Devin.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Alexander with Whispers in the Dark. So, I went in there, made my voice really deep, and I gave him this cassette player, and he started the cassette, and he put it in the cassette player in his office, and he started playing it really loud. And people were walking past, ladies were walking past. They're like, "So when is he coming to work for us?" Well, by that time, I was back in the studio on 1390 doing afternoons. Elroy was like, he didn't have the heart to tell him it was me. I guess he did that on purpose to see what the ladies were going to say. So, he finally hired me to do the show after your girl Troy left.
Oh, yeah. Troy tired.
Dee Capri. Yeah. Wrapping up Foreplay with Whitney Houston. That is from the album and the movie and all that from Exhale. It is your peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer. My special guest tonight, Mr. Bob Coleman, who used to do afternoons at WLTH and a couple of other radio stations. He and I met back in the day. Well, and that's just it. I don't think did we ever really meet, is what I'm thinking. Did we ever really meet? Because I remember going out to WLTH and you weren't there, and they said that you were going, that you had recommended me to do afternoons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did meet because
I think it was at it was a college station.
Right, it was WKKC.
Okay.
That's how we met. Now I remember, because your brother Steve and I went to South Shore together. We were in the same class at South Shore.
Okay.
They had a TV studio.
Right, absolutely.
So that's how we kind of sort of met.
Absolutely.
But I remember you recommended me, and I didn't know you had listened to me. I didn't even know that you knew who I was.
Well, still sharp and steel, man. And you had the pipes then, you got the pipes now. Greatness recognizes greatness. So that's what we do.
And
Unfortunately, it's not like that anymore.
well, no. But I just thought that was so weird. I'm like, this guy recommended me to take his place. Afternoon drive. I mean, I could see overnights, but of course, at that time, there were no overnights in WLTH.
Right.
It was like once the sun went down, so did the station.
And we were so close to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
The signal, as a matter of fact, the signal could be heard in some parts of Chicago. So we were so close to Chicago. I always considered sharing the same airwaves of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Actually got I actually got hired at GCI right before I left Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
And at the same time, I got the offer to go to GCI or Kicks 96, and I chose Kicks 96.
Why?
Yeah.
Why did you not stay home?
Because Chicago was where I was born and raised, and like you stayed. You've been here in Chicago. You've made a name for yourself here in Chicago. You're a legend here in Chicago. Chicago was a starting ground for me, but I'm not that guy. I wanted to go out and see the world, and so I've done that. And so places like you said, Gary, Indiana, Tennessee, St. Louis, and other cities that I've been able to work, and that was my thing, man. I didn't want to stay here in Chicago. There was a time when we were trying to get in, because I was working at the Nimbus Disco, which was the number one club in Chicago back in the day.
Yes.
Started out at the 69 Club. That's where I started DJing out in front of public. Was the 69 Club for what was called the Copper Box.
Right.
And then from the 69 Club went to the Nimbus, which was owned by Phil Zadenberg, which was at that time the number one club in Chicago.
I remember.
But, got a chance to do that. And again, looking back, often tell myself, if I had the mindset then that I have now, because the opportunities that I had then, being the DJ for the Nimbus, working for Phil Zadenberg, who was a Jewish guy who owned the Nimbus. And Phil gave me, carte blanche, man, when it came to that club. And whatever I wanted to do, I could do. And he just this guy was a millionaire. He co-signed whatever it is I wanted to do.
Wow.
And looking back, I could have done so much. I could have almost started a Nimbus record label. Back then if I wanted to do that. But I didn't have that mindset then. I was wanting to be on the radio. And so it's what you do.
Because I remember going over your house. It was, I think I was either with your brother or Roy Michael Robertson. And I remember walking into your bedroom, and your bedroom was like a studio, kind of like, this is actually a bedroom, but I turned it into a studio. And I walked in, you had these EQs, you had everything was like built in to this console. It's like it had been made, and the turntables, it looked like a club in the bedroom. It looked like a DJ booth.
Right. Yeah, that was we actually Roy and I actually recorded a commercial in my bedroom that was actually played on BMX.
Get out of here. Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I'm like, that's what I want. I went home immediately, went down in my basement and started my own radio station. I was like, that's what I want to do. Because of course I didn't have enough room in the bedroom, because at that time I was sharing a room with my brother. So, I didn't know where else to put the turntable. So there was a room in the basement, and I had this, I never will forget, it was a green folding table, kind of like this one now, that I have. And I bought me some turntables. I remember Techniques coming out with these turntables. They were called the SLD1s.
Those weren't the 1200s.
No,
Okay.
There weren't any 1200s yet. It was the SLD1, and then they came out with another one. It was the SLD 1800, and then they finally made the 1200s, which was like the industry standard at that time. Like everybody had the 1200s. They were in the clubs and everything else.
Well, I got to tell you my 1200 story, because I came to the Nimbus one night, and like I said, Phil Zingberg, he gave me whatever I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember showing up at the club one night, and there were these two brand new 1200s sitting there. My old turntables are gone.
Wow.
And so I told Phil, I'm like, what's this? And he goes, Bob, these new turntables that just came out. I had a fit. I don't want to use these tables. These are my tables. I want my tables back. He's like, Bob, just try them. Just try them for tonight. If you don't like them,
Right.
we'll get your old tables back. I'm like, man, I got on them 1200s. Needless to say.
He said, what other turntables?
Right. Exactly. I got on those 1200s, man, and never looked back. But it just goes to show you how, we are creatures of habit.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, we stay places longer than we should.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's why people say, why didn't you stay in Chicago? And why didn't you? I didn't want to stay in Chicago. I really wanted to go around and see experience the things I've been able to experience.
And that was my problem. I did not want to leave Chicago because someone told me once, and I'll tell you who that person is in a few minutes. They told me that I needed to go elsewhere and do radio. But I always wanted to be famous in the city that I grew up in. I wanted to be like, Herb Kent or Richard McGee. They grew up in Chicago and they became Chicago radio legends.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, one night I was at the Taste Entertainment Center on 63rd and Love. And I saw this guy in the bathroom. And I said, sir, I'm on WLTH. I'm doing afternoons now, He said, that's good, man. Now you need to go down to Magic down in St. Louis, and then you need to go to WDIA in Memphis, and you need to, I'm like, but why? Why can't I come work for BMX with you?
Mm-hmm.
It was Lee Michaels.
Okay.
Fast forward to 40 years later, Lee and I are like, he's like Uncle Lee to me.
Absolutely.
And I remember being on, doing my live one night. I was still doing my show live at VON. I know I burst everybody's bubble. They think I'm actually live doing that. But I remember him calling me one night and being on my live. He said, I wish I had gotten a hold of you back then. I said, well, you had me. Mm-hmm. In the bathroom at the Taste, but anyway.
But be careful how you say it.
Right, exactly. But at that time, I wasn't ready.
Well, yeah, you were. You were ready, but Lee wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
Because that again was another problem or situation. A lot of times, man, the talent that we're looking for,
mm-hmm.
but what happens is people because I know Lee and those guys, and everybody, I was told the same thing. Oh, you got to go down south,
right?
Work in Tupelo, Mississippi, and work your way back to the majors,
right?
I was told that, but I was like you, why?
Right.
I didn't have a strong hold on the Chicago market.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those guys like BBD Banana,
yeah,
he ended up calling the radio station that we were working for in Jackson, Tennessee, a couple of years later, looking for a job.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's a lot of that. I paid my dues. Now you have to pay yours.
Mm-hmm.
State of mind. A lot of times you miss out. I've never been that type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
When I was on the radio, I was always the open door.
Okay.
If you had a record that I liked, I would play it. I don't care if it was, nobody's record label,
mm-hmm.
because I would always tell people, we're fighting over playing Michael Jackson's song first
mm-hmm.
versus playing Al Greer's song first,
right?
And helping Al become at the same level of Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got allegiance with Al.
Right.
Michael don't care who plays his song first in the market.
Right.
So why are we running that race when we've got these new artists who are trying to get to where the status that Michael is? So that was always my mindset. Even in St. Louis, I broke a record. It was called Timmy Doesn't Live Here Anymore. The guy's name is Derek Hubbard. He's passed now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually selling these records out of the trunk of his car.
Wow.
And I asked to play it on my show. I was given permission to play it, and the song became so popular that we actually had to pull it because the record stores started calling the radio station saying, "Are you guys playing some song called Timmy Doesn't Live anymore?" Because a lot of people going in trying to buy it, but it wasn't available. And so we had to actually pull it off the air, But that's been my thing, man. My thing has always been to, to support the small guy and to help them get to the level where they want to get to.
I want to ask you about a few people that we both know, but I'm going to play a song first. This gentleman, last time I saw him was at a party. The time before that, I saw him playing in a church over on 79th and South Chicago. I'm like, is he playing in church? And of course, he plays in church, he plays wherever, and he played with the Shallites. It's Paul Richmond. This was their song back in the day, the Amusement Park Band.
Oh, yes.
And the name of the song was called No. And that was their only big hit on Atlantic Records. And we're playing it right now here on Bedtime Stories. It's Al Greer with Bob Coleman.
Yeah, we actually brought them to Tennessee. They did our anniversary show, anniversary celebration. We brought them down to the amusement park down in Tennessee on the strength of their song, No.
And he also played with Champagne. Try again, and How About Us?
Wow.
But it wasn't until he wrote Shining Star for the Manhattans and In the Mood for Tyrone Davis that he was more of a better songwriter than he was a performer. But he's played with everybody. He's been a session person. He's played behind everybody in the studio here in Chicago. And I got a chance to interview him once. I said, what was the inspiration for the song Shining Star? He said, my wife, Yolanda. I said, oh. So every time I see her, I say, hey, Shining Star. So he wrote that song for her. Tyrone Davis heard Shining Star and heard that the Manhattans were in town to record it. And he heard it. He said, well, how come I can't get that song? That's not for you, Tyrone. So they turned around and said, well, we got a song for you. And he turned around and wrote In the Mood. And that became one of his big hits besides, since Turn Back the Hands of Time. But I wanted to ask you about, we did an interview a few years ago with Irene Mojica.
Yeah.
And I saw Irene the other night.
Oh, really? I was asking if you heard.
They had a party for Marv Dyson. And this was about a month, I think like a month or two ago. Marv recently was inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame.
Okay.
So they had a party at this little club downtown. And I saw Irene across the room. But by the time I got across the room, she had left. I was like, damn. Because I've always been interested in her story of how she got on the radio. I remember the first night that Irene was on the radio. She had dead air all night. Next time she got on, she had it together. And this was one of those stories where, like I told you about Lee saying I should go to this station here and this station there. I said, well, Irene never had to go anywhere. She was shaking her booty at a club, and they discovered her. And they thought she had a great voice, and they put her put her on the radio,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. But
I'll tell you another song that I broke. And that song was actually brought out to me at the Nimbus.
mm-hmm.
I was out there DJing, and the guy came out there. He was like, "Bob, this is our new song. We just got it. Just got the hot presses off the press tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is." I said, "Let me see it." So he gave me the 12-inch, and I took it to the Nimbus, and I put it on the turntable, and I put it in queue, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, and I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be a hit." And so I started playing at the Nimbus to the radio station. We started playing on LTH, and it became more local. And they did some things in Milwaukee, whatever. But I took them to this day. I know for a fact I was the first person to ever put a needle to that record.
Mm-hmm.
Magnum Force, Share
I was getting ready to say that. Magnum Force, Share My Love.
Magnum Force, Share My Love. Man, Rick brought it out to me that night. Rick and Roy, they were brothers.
The twins.
He brought it out there to me and said, "Hey, Bob, here's our new record, man. Check it out." And the rest is history. I'm like, wow. Me and Fred Moore ended up doing a concert with him in St. Louis. In Gary, Indiana, with Magnum Force. We did a little concert with them. So it's pretty cool.
And they were never able to capitalize on that song.
I think Gus Redman was behind that song. I think he had something to do with that, but that was a one-hit wonder, man. That was it.
And it's interesting because they performed that song at Dinah Lynn's wedding.
Oh, did they? Oh, wow.
Yep. They performed it at Dinah Lynn's wedding. And it was interesting because Gus wouldn't let them have the track.
Really?
So they had to sing to the actual record.
Wow.
Gus still has the masters for that, but he wouldn't let them, I was like, wow. It's the same thing with Smoke City. Remember Dreams by Smoke City?
Man, that sounds familiar.
Dream about you every night, every day. Well, that was, what was his name? Emmett Gardner.
Mm.
That was his song. That was his song that he produced on this group. That was their only big hit. And a few years later, he asked me if I had the instrumental to it. I'm like, you don't. He said, Columbia owns the masters to all that stuff, but they never pressed it.
Mm.
It was only a local thing, and it was a one-shot deal.
Mm-hmm.
If it didn't do anything, then
It's done.
It's done.
Mm-hmm.
But it became a big hit here, and that was it.
Wow.
And he recently passed. He passed a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how sick he was. He would always call me, "Hey, superstar, what you doing?" I'm doing this, and I'm gonna come down and see you. I said, "Okay, cool." He would come to the station when I was on 79th Street. He would come, and then one night he came up to the club where I was spinning on 112th, 100 something like that, in Ashland. This club called Someplace Else. And he came up there one night. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna bring Star, who was the lead singer of Smoke City." He said, "I'm gonna bring Star one night." So I'm there one night. He comes in the DJ booth with this lady. He said, "Al, I got somebody I want you to meet." I said, "Who?" He said, "Star." I said, "What?" And I said, I gotta interview. I gotta do this. I need you to do me a drop." She said, "No." No. She said, "No, I'm not going to do that." I said, "Why?" She said, the business had soured her, and she didn't want to do anything. I was like, dang. She said, "I don't want to have nothing to do with nothing, nobody, nothing." Wow. I was like, dang. and it was cool, and it broke my heart all at the same time. I said, well, I finally got to meet this lady because I love this song, and I finally got to meet her. And then he passed. They said he passed at home peacefully. They said they found him on his knees.
Wow.
And he was down on kneeling next to the bed, and that's how he went. I was like, wow. But he was, he was one of the nicest guys that I'd ever met in the business. And his sons were twins. He was helping them produce their new records and everything else. But he never got a chance to see them, go on to greatness. So.
What about Yvonne Gage, man? She's still in Chicago?
Yep.
How you doing, LTH?
She's still here.
What's she doing, you know?
Singing jingles.
Is she? I'd love to talk to her, man.
Singing jingles.
I'd love to talk to her.
The name of the group is called Champagne. That is How About Us from Champagne, which features our good friend, Mr. Paul Richmond. We're sitting here with Bob Coleman in the last few minutes. I was late tonight, so I might go overtime just a little bit on my station and get cut off by the other ones, but that's okay. I wanted to ask you, how did you, I know, we both grew up here in Chicago. We both listened to this young lady, Irene Mojica.
Mm-hmm.
How did you meet Irene?
Actually, we became friends when I was working in St. Louis at Magic 108, because she would call the station sometimes, and we just became friends. And I really reached out to her because, like I told her for many years, I said, I would tease her until I said, you bad. I said, because you're the only person I know that you can go into a segue a song, start out speaking in Spanish, end up in English, and still post.
I know, right?
And so that really broke the ice with her and her and Roy were really good friends as well. And so we just kind of developed a relationship. You remember the show we did when I was in St. Louis with you and Doc Jones and Al and Irene and Roy were all on. I still have that show archived.
I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I still have it. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the link, but I still have that show. It was a great show.
Wow.
It was a great show.
And like I was telling you off the air, I recently ran into Irene. I wasn't able to get close enough to her, but we looked at each other from across the room, and I was trying to get over there, and then somebody grabbed me, and we started talking. And when I turned back around, Irene was gone. I'm like, where did Irene go? Oh, she left.
Well, Troy, who also went to the South Shore, she came to St. Louis, and she was working at Z100, which was the competition to Magic 108. We killed them in the ratings every book, but what can I say?
Right.
But I will never forget. We both graduated from South Shore together, and she was working at Z100. I was working at Magic, and on Magic I was Kid Williams. I had a made-up name that called myself on the air. So
Kid Williams.
Yeah. So we were at a. I didn't name it. When they hired me, they said, we're gonna hire you and we're going to change your name to Kid Williams. And I asked one question. I said, when I get my paycheck, is it going to say Kid Williams or Bob
Coleman?
That was the deal breaker. So, but Troy was there, and it was a listening party for some artists that were some kind of radio function in St. Louis. And Dr. Jockenstein, he was there, and he told Troy, he said, Troy, because Troy was a big fan of my show. She didn't know it was me.
Right.
And so we were there at this party, and Doc grabs her by the arm and goes, here, let me introduce you to your idol. And he takes her across the room through the party. It's a crowded room. And he goes, Troy, meet Kid Williams. And I turn around, and me and Troy look at each other, and we both start screaming.
Right.
And he goes, we graduated from high school together.
Right. Back when she was Doris.
Yeah, Doris DeShazo.
The-
I don't know if many people know her real name, but it's DeShazo.
And it's funny because she told this story one night. It was some guy that saw her, and everybody knows her as Troy Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
And she said a guy recognized her, and he's hollering, "Doris, Doris!" So every time I see her on Facebook or see her on the street, I said, "Doris, Doris," and they look at me like, "No, that's Troy Tyler." I'm like, okay, because she was on another radio station. She was on 106 when they were Power 106, and she was Dee Dee Capri.
Mm-hmm.
So she went from being Dee Dee Capri to being Troy Tyler because they hired her from Power 106 to be the overnight host on Whispers in the Dark on GCI.
Wow. Yeah, that's my girl. We talk every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I'll talk with her through the holidays, but we keep in contact, Troy and I.
That's great. That's
Mm-hmm.
great. You guys went to school together. Of course, you all graduated together in 76.
Mm-hmm.
When you all were leaving, I was coming in
Okay.
to the South Shore.
Okay.
So y'all got me just by a few years.
I talk to Doc Jones quite often, and I keep in contact with him. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all. Yeah, I'm the glue, man. I'm the one that holds everybody together. So
Man,
yeah.
you were telling me this story about this song, this record that you were given by I guess Gus Redmond gave it to you, right?
No, it was actually Rick. Rick came out to the Nimbus,
Mm-hmm.
and he was excited because he had just gotten they had just gotten the hot press of their song, their 12-inch,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted me to hear it. So he brought out it had never been played anywhere. They had just gotten it themselves that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so he brought it out to the Nimbus and said, "Hey, Bob, here's our new song. Here it is. We just got it today."
Mm-hmm.
And I took it and I played it in Q, in
Mhm.
the headset in the DJ booth to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, "Man, this is a great song. It's going to do great things." And I started playing it. I played it that night at the Nimbus for the first time ever. Took it to the radio station, played it on LTH, put it in rotation for the first time ever. They started playing it in the Chicago market. And the rest is history. It became a huge song for them.
But let me tell you this. Do you know that was the B-side of the song?
No.
The A-side was "Are You Ready for the Weekend?"
I remember Are You Ready for the Weekend? Absolutely. But
And it's because of you flipping it over and playing the other side that they got the hit. Because I heard, "Are you ready for the weekend?" It was just, okay. It was a nice, danceable song.
Right.
But this was the hit.
Absolutely.
You share my love. This is our last song tonight. I've gone overtime, but that's okay. I can do that because I'm the boss. Here's Magnum Force. It's Al Greer along with Bob Coleman on Bedtime Stories. Yeah. Are You Ready for the Weekend was the A-side.
Wow. I never knew that.
Mm-hmm. Rick told me that. He's like, yeah. They didn't like the other one, so we, somebody had the bright idea to flip it over and play the ballad.
Wow. That's the one I played, man.
And the rest, as they say, was history.
This is history.
The ballad became the hit. And
But like I said, man, with my platform Bulletproof, bulletproof means you don't quit, you don't stop, you don't give up. You hold on to your dreams, and you can do anything you want. Like I said, I do the one event every year. I do. One thing I started doing, man, I started giving out these pins, these individual pins to people to show them that, hey, man, I appreciate what you're doing. You've proven yourself to be bulletproof. And so this thing, people will be wearing these pins all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to bring one in here tonight, man, to present you with one.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
Because you're truly bulletproof, man. And you wear that pin proudly, man, because that pin is not about me. That pin is about you. That pin is about what you've done, because you've never given up, you've never stopped, you've never quit.
Thank you.
You've kept going through the years. And so I presented those pens individually to people all over the world.
Thank you.
So you're the first one in Chicago to have that pen, and my vision is to have people all over the world wearing bulletproof pens, man. So
that's all right. Thank you, brother.
That's the top.
Thank you very much. As I remember getting when I went down to St. Louis, and I got an award. I was like, I wasn't expecting it. It was because of Dinah Lynn putting my name in that I got that award. Because I don't think nothing of what I do. What I do is what I do.
Right.
But when people give you accolades for what you do,
I'm just a bearer of gifts. So
what is this? Oh no!
Sure. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Right, I know, right? Well, in my case, Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, because my birthday is on the 23rd. So, oh shoot! Thank you, brother. Just what I need too. Bulletproof CTV LLC. Bulletproof C at gmail.com. Look what I got, guys. I don't know if I can. Oh, wait a minute. I'm dropping stuff here. Yeah. It says Bulletproof CTV LLC.
CTV means catch the vision.
Catch the vision.
Right. That's what CTV stands for.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And the cards in there for it's inside the box.
Oh, the card. Okay.
That's the call I do every Friday. People call it all over the country.
Bulletproof call. This call can change your life. Success is based on laws, not luck. Starts at 8 a.m. Arizona time every Friday morning, 9 a.m. Central time. 253-993-993-3111. Bulletproof CTV. All right.
Yeah, man. People call in I've got CEOs, business owners, people calling in every Friday to get their dose of bulletproof. It's a 30-minute call. All they do is call and listen. It's not going to have a conversation. They just call. I give them and bulletproof is all biblically based. It's a biblically, it's all based on God's word. I don't play church with people. I tell people I'm not here to play church with you. I'm a Christian man. I put God first in everything that I do. And the Bible says we can do all things through God, with God, all things. And I've lived my life that way. It's nothing. I tell people it's nothing magic about me. I'm just like, well, the Bible says, speak to the mountain. And, the Bible says to have the faith the size of a mustard seed. And that's all I've done. People say, what's your secret, man? How do you, Bob, how did you, including being in Arizona? I tell people, I say, years ago when I was here in Chicago, I said, I'm sick of cold weather. I want to live somewhere where it's hot. Where's it hot all the time? And somebody said, Arizona. I said, I'm moving to Arizona.
And that was it.
When I said that, I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't know where. But when I told people this, they'd be like, because the house I live in, man, I got, beautiful home, private golf course, a little on gate, and they all like, okay, cool. If I tell people, if I know for a fact, one day my neighbors who live right across the street from my house, they were probably sitting in their kitchen, drinking coffee one Saturday morning, heard some ruckus outside. They looked out the window, and they was like, oh, look, honey, they're building a house across the street. That was my house they were building. I wasn't in it yet.
Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying? The bulldozers were there. The construction workers were there. What y'all building at Bob's house? Because he said, now the only person that could stop me from occupying that house was me. If I had changed my mind or let other naysayers and don't do it, COVID, don't do it, this, don't do it, don't go, you don't have this, you don't have the money, but you got to be bulletproof. You got to, what is it that you want to do? You just got to do it. If you want to go to Vegas, man. It's not going to make sense. Stop waiting for it to make sense. You're never going to have enough money. The timing is never going to be right. You just got to make it happen.
You just got to make it happen. I hear you. So that's the song that you made a hit.
Absolutely.
That you should have gotten a gold record for. Magnum Force and Share My Love. Do you ever talk to Rick?
I've talked with him maybe about a year ago. We talked briefly on the phone, but we haven't talked. Not a lot, no.
Okay. Yeah,
but I do still have the interview that I did with them in the studio. Remember the mini disc players?
Yeah.
I still got a mini disc player. And I've got it in my office at home, and I've got that interview. I've got Yvonne Gage on the mini disc player, and Roger Troutman. You know, Roger was a real cool guy, man. Got a chance to do some stuff with him. Down to earth, really cool guy. You know, he came to Tennessee to do a concert, and after the show, he was out front taking pictures with the fans. And we had an after party for him at this club in Tennessee. And so I was headed over to the club to get the party started and everything. And he was out in front of the stadium, whatever, taking pictures. And so I got his attention. I said, Roger. And I'm like, I'll see you at the club. He goes, wait. No, I'm going with you. And so we said, the limousine's out front. He didn't want to go in the limousine. He got my girl at that time, Christine. She had a Chevette.
Okay.
And Roger got right in the back seat of the Chevette. And that's how we got to the club with that Chevette. You know, he was a really down to earth guy, man. You know, he really was a really cool guy.
Bob, you got a whole bunch of stories, and I need another 3 or 4, 5, 6 hours just to talk to you. I really appreciate you stopping through.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
You know, it's been like a walk down memory lane, and of course, you got these stories. You should write a book, man. Shoot, I wish I had half the stories you have.
Yeah, man. And it's not over yet. You know, it's still going. You know, it's not over yet. But I appreciate you having me on, man. It's a pleasure to be back here in Chicago and being able to say happy holidays to everybody in Chicago and beyond. Being here with my good brother Al here, it's like a brother to me. And I couldn't think of a better way to kick off the holiday season. So happy holidays to you and your family as well.
And thank you. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. You know, because normally I don't turn my back to anyone while I'm on the air. But thank you so much for, you know, I still have people still in the chat room. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. This guy means a lot to me. You know, like I said, he was instrumental in me getting in the radio, and you know, he was that foot in the door. And then all I had to do was just bust the door open. So that was it.
Well, can I invite them to the Bulletproof call on Friday?
Yeah, I was gonna tell them. Yeah.
Let me see the.
Yeah, here you go.
But on Fridays, guys, if you know, Bulletproof is my success training platform that I created, and you know, Bulletproof teaches in the laws of success. I do a call each and every Friday morning. All you have to do to get on the call, it doesn't cost anything. It's nothing to pay for. You simply dial area code 253-993-3111. That's area code 253-993-3111. It's 9 o'clock Central Time. Check your time zones, but it's 9 o'clock Central Time. It's a 30-minute call. It's called Bulletproof. Check it out for yourself. There's greatness in you. There's greatness in all of us. And all you have to do is learn how to tap into that greatness, which is all God-based, based on God's word, and tap into your greatness. And you can too. You too will be able to achieve and do all the things that you ever wanted to do, like my brother here, the peanut butter brother, Dr. Al Greer.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Till next time, blue skies, green lights, and peace. And we'll talk tomorrow night on Bedtime Stories. And that's it. That's all. Thanks, guys. I'm going to post this, of course, on my website.